All right, hi girls. We are going to do some more examples. And so I have one over here to the left. Notice that this example looks a little different than the ones that I gave you for the general equations, right? Those had parentheses in them. They had the y's in parentheses, the x's in parentheses, and this problem doesn't even have any parentheses. So we have to do a little bit of work before we start graphing. And what we're going to do is complete the square. All right, so we're going to complete the square with the y's. So what I'm going to do is look at this 6y, and that's the number I'd use to complete the square. So I take half of -6 and I square it. We all know that that's 9, so I add that right here. I'm going to move this guy over here and this guy over here because remember, in those equations they give you, the y's were on one side, the x's were on the other. So we're going to move everything over. So that makes it become a 2x and a -8 when I move it. And then don't forget that when you complete the square, you have to keep the equation balanced. So if you add 9 to the left side, you have to add 9 to the right side. Okay, now we're balanced and completed. Okay, from there, what you're going to do is you are going to factor. And remember that you set this up so that you can, it factors very nicely into a specific squared binomial. And on the other side, you're going to end up with 2x plus 1. Okay, still doesn't look like those basic equations that I gave you up above. And so what you want to do is you want to get the x terms in parentheses. Now remember that there was a number in front of those parentheses. I'm talking about these equations right here. Okay, there was a number right here in front of the parentheses. So whatever is in front of your x, you're going to need to factor that out. It's not going to factor nicely on this one, but that's what we have to do. So this stays the same on the left side. I factor out a 2, leaving me with x plus 1/2. I'm dividing by 2 to get it out in front. Okay, so finally I have an equation that I can graph. And to help you with graphing, I listed some steps out right up here above in your notes. So this is something that you could refer to when you get stumped when you're graphing on your own. This would be a good chance to pause the video and try and graph it on your own, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep going. Okay, so for the vertex, I know that it is going to be -1/2, that's the h, and 3, that's the k. So I'll put that right on, why is it this spelling? There we go, right on the graph. So -1/2, 1, 2, 3, right there. Okay, the next thing I need to come up with is what is the p-value. So in this case, excuse me, 4p equals 2, but I need regular p, so I'll need to divide both sides by 4, and so p equals 2/4, which is 1/2. Okay, so this is the first thing I do to graph. This is the second thing I do to graph. Okay, I figured out that it's 1/2, and so now I need to go 1/2 in each direction. Now, remember that we decided that when the y squared term was by itself, that this is going to be a left and right parabola. And I know it's going to be this one because the 2 is positive. Right, so whatever that 4p value is, if it's positive, it goes to the right. If it's negative, it goes to the left, and the same with up and down. Up is positive. Okay, so I'm going to go 1/2 in each direction, and I want my focus to be inside the parabola, so I'll go right here, and the directrix is always outside the parabola, so it goes over here. I went 1/2 in each direction to find those values. All right, so then the last thing I need to come up with is how wide the parabola is. So remember, the lattice rectum will tell you how wide. So the lattice rectum is the 4p value. So in my case, the 4p is 2. That means it's too wide. So what I need to do is from the vertex, I'm going to go 1 up and 1 down because that will give me a total width of 2. Okay, so not through the vertex. I'm very sorry. The focus. Okay, so I'm going to go up 1 and I'm going to go down 1 so I get that width of 2. All right, and then from there I can just draw my parabola in. And it looks like that. Okay, let's do one more. This would also be a good time for you to pause and try to do it on your own, but I'm going to keep going. Okay, I need to complete the square, so I will do that. I'm going to do x squared plus 2x. I'm going to take half of 2 and square it, so that's going to give me 1. I'm going to move the other terms to the other side, so that'll give me a positive 8y and a negative 17. And of course, I added 1 to both sides. I added 1 here, so I'll add 1 here. I don't know why. Okay. All right, from there, I'm going to do x plus 1 squared. This is going to become 8y minus 16. And then I have to get that number out in front of that y term. So I can do that by just dividing by 8. Okay, now I'm ready to go. So I know that this is an up and down one, so it's either up or down. And again, because this 8 is a positive 8, it's going to be an up graph. I'll put the vertex on. The vertex is negative 1, 2. I'll figure out what the p-value is. So 4p in this problem is 8. So p must be 2. That tells me I go from the focus, nope, from the vertex. I'm going to go 2 up, and I'm going to go 2 down to come up with the focus and the directrix. 2 and 2. I know it's opening up, so this is the directrix. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What just happened? Sorry, I'm not restarting. And then the last thing is I have to come up with the lattice rectum. So the lattice rectum is 8. Remember, it's just this number right here. And so the entire width of the parabola is going to be 8. So at my focus, I'll go 4 this way and 4 this way so that the total distance is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, this is your focus, this is your vertex. Okay, and then we can draw our parabola in. It goes through the vertex and the points on the lattice rectum. This was the lattice rectum. You don't need to draw the lattice rectum in, but I think it helps to kind of show you. That's the pink segment right there. Okay, doing awesome. Way to go. Good job. That's it.